Welcome back, guys and girls. I am Kaz, and this is episode 7 of my blind playthrough of Pillars of Eternity. Last episode, we did a few things, and I got a couple of new friends. Mostly it was reading of various things. We met Aloth, and we hired on a couple of hirelings. They don't really have, they didn't have names until I gave them names. So we've got a dwarf priest and a Orlan chanter, and I kind of figured it would be useful to have a priest around because, well, you know, people get hurt and you want to keep them alive in a fight. So we're gonna do this. We're on the second floor of the Black Hound's Inn, and we're gonna explore around here and see what we see, and then get on with the next piece. So here we go. So we got 3 carousers over here. No idea. Grab a drink, friend. Not much else of worth in this town, says the woman from Thane. Hey, we said we wouldn't mention Thane. Okay. Grab a drink. We said we wouldn't mention it. Okay. Well. So what do we got here? Deslok, Najatep, Shane Shakes Molrian, and Sela. Okay. Well, before we get involved in that, inn guest, please leave me be. I am full to sickness for what I have seen of this place and its people. Okay. Well, there's something to loot there. 10 years of dawn. 10 years I tilled the Vorless leaf, and 10 years I told myself that living in St. Waidwin's footsteps would bring me rebirth. Each dawn I'd pray that if thou art in darkness, he shall bring thee light, and yet each night would bring the same emptiness. For my decade of living as a simple dye farmer, all I have to show for it is a great deal of purple clothing. Alright. Eothas has not spoken to us since he appeared as Saint Waidwin. It was my hope that Eothas would claim me as his next vessel, but alas, the Child of Light remains silent. Every day I practice the ritual of banishing the shadows of the unfaithful, and every day I work my fields in solitude without a sign of Eothas returning. If thou art in darkness, he shall bring thee light, but how long must I remain lost in this long night of abandonment? Is this my punishment for keeping my faith a secret? Is Eothas hiding from me until I shout my reverence for all to hear? Surely he must know that the Underwoodens now hate him and his followers. My countrymen are quick to blame all that was terrible about the Saints' War on those of us still faithful to Eothas. Should they not be angry at the Red Ceres soldiers? Do the dear Woodens not realize that to dismiss the God of rebirth and redemption is to prevent all hope of healing? As I pen these words, I know that I must continue till the die leave. I will wake each day with hope. If thou art in darkness, he shall bring me light. Each day I will pray that the dawn stars visit me, just as they visited Saint Waidwin in his field of Vorless. Will they come to me as they came to Saint Waidwin, as a man and 2 women, luminescent and perfect? I am told they come to presage new times. I am told many things, and I struggle to find the faith to believe it all. And yet, each morning the sun rises in the eastern sky, and each morning Eothas illuminates my simple plot of land, casting away the shadows of the unfaithful in his golden gaze. I thank thee, Eos, for all the springs I've had and all that will come. I am in darkness. Please bring me light. Okay. Looks like a book to sell, which is what we're going to do with it. So, if I wanted to, I could pick that. But I don't want to. Well, I mean, I do, but... Oh, what's this then? Crammed behind the books is a drawing that shows Eothas and Lord Raedric in a compromising position. Fantastic. Lockpicks. The Deerwood Part 1, Early Colonial History. No other land has such a wild and bloody recent history. From colony to Palatinate, I think I got that right. To free Republic, the Deerwood has undergone a trial by fire to emerge as a powerful force of the Eastern Reach. Deerwood's history actually begins in Eder in Adir in 2602 AI. Adira explorers returned from a journey across the ocean with tales of treasures they'd found. They discovered countless ruins scattered through the forests, as well as plains to the north of the trees that would be perfect for growing Vorlis. There was a problem, however. The locals were hostile, and there was potential for conflict. The Verkoning of Adir knew that this was too good an opportunity to pass up and sent more explorers to scout and map the area. Exploration continued over the next 20 years. Small groups of explorers traveled back and forth between Adir and this new world, with a handful of colonists setting up small camps to establish a base for the explorers to work out of. Conflicts with the locals, who the Adirans learned are called the Glenfathans, were rare but frequent enough for the Verkoning to send a small squadron of guards to help protect his citizens. These guards established a central base on a river in the western section of the woods. The settlement would eventually become the city of Deerford, upon which the modern-day village of the same name is presently built. Once that base was established, the first permanent Adiran settlements began north and west of the Bale River. Over the next 3 years, thousands of Adirans made the trek from Adir to this new land. The Glenfathans, who seemed to revere the ruins scattered through the forest, caused a few problems with some of the settlements, especially those founded near the ruins themselves. These were easily taken care of by the colonists with the help of the Imperial Guard. The Adirans, in order to further their foothold in the area, reduced the cost of production, and in an attempt to keep the Glenfathan population under control, started making slaves out of any Glenfathans captured during the uprisings. This resulted in a great increase in tension between the two groups. With the population of the area growing, an official governmental structure was established by the Verkoning. He appointed several earls to preside over the land and assigned them thanes to help run their territories. And they called the new Grafam the Deerwood, whatever that is. Deerford remained the center of the Imperial Guard, but the settlement in Pearlwood Gulf, New Dunrid, was the true seat of power for the area. Sitting on the edge of the ocean, forest, fertile farmland, and a river that runs from the coast to the White March, settlers flocked to the area, hoping to establish names for themselves. Adir began to spread across the new land. Yay, history! Okay, well that's locked, and well, no, I'm still not gonna do it. I may be missing stuff. Keep in mind, this is somewhat in character. I'm not going to allow anybody in the party to do anything that would be ultimately against the party leader's ideals and virtues. That party leader, of course, being the main character, who is a paladin with the favored dispositions of honesty and diplomacy. So any sort of thieving or anything like that will be avoided when possible. If it comes down to it and the only viable path to the objective is to steal, she will grudgingly allow such a thing to happen. These bones are covered in tiny bite marks. There's a black hound over here. What do we got? This hound stares intently at the covered window, head cocked as if wanting to hear a particular sound. It looks up when you approach and whines a low note, tail wagging slightly. Aw, you petted the old doggers. The dog's tail thumps happily against the floorboards. Doggo! You little doggo. Okay, well, let's leave the dog alone this time. I guess I can't pick him up. I guess he's not a friend. Okay, so...
I'm here.
Gonna do just a quick save here, in case something goes wrong with the game. And talk to... Okay, as you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this man's soul. Okay, just reach out for the soul. You see a man soar through the air, hitting a nearby wall with a nauseating crunch. He doesn't get up. His attacker, a burly, clean-cut warrior with a carnivorous grin, turns and shoves his fist into the stomach of another assailant, removing another from the impromptu brawl. The bar is a whirlwind of elbows, knees, fists, and feet, with no end in sight, and he is in his element. In the corner, three smaller men speak quietly, throwing malicious glances at the larger man in the center. He breaks a chair over a tattooed head, cackling. The trio position themselves in three parts of the room, and with a terse nod they charge. Unfortunately for them, the man sees them coming. Something in his eyes burns brightly, and all three slump to the ground in an agony that's all in their minds. The burly man bows to a room of the unconscious and incapacitated before sauntering out. Off-key whistle trailing behind him. Okay. As you near, you feel a vibrant history, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's going to be the same basic thing each time. Alright. Reach out for the soul. You see an emaciated boy in chains, some black holes for eyes, staring sightlessly at a wall. A man in a dark coat walks in, a scroll and an oddly shaped quill in his hand. The boy glances at him, expressionless, a corpse waiting for animation. The man clucks at him, and disapproval clear in his throat, or in his tone. The boy stands, limbs hanging. The man takes the quill and begins to write on the boy's chest, copying sharp, angular symbols from the scroll. The child doesn't flinch as the quill digs into his skin, drawing blood as it goes. The wizard finishes with a flourish and barks some arcane command, setting the symbols to glow dully. The boy cries out, knees hitting the stone hard, his chest burning black and red. Finally the glow disappears, leaving only hard black scars etched into his skin. He slumps sideways, twitching, eyes facing the back of his skull. The wizard grunts, kicking him on the leg on his way out. The boy lies on the floor until dawn, eyes still black like holes, the twitching growing into convulsive shakes. Okay. Odd. But And there we go again. You see a long empty road cutting through two large crop fields. The air is silent. The land seems too still for early afternoon. This woman walks slowly on the road, leading a horse, curiously looking around. She seems to sense something wrong, but is unable to discern what it is. She stops, sniffing at the air, her nose high. Her brow crinkles and she casts about, looking for something. The air is clear, no clouds. She sniffs again, still looking around, confusion clouding her face, mouthing a single word. Fire? She looks out across the fields, her confusion turning to fear. She holds up her hand to block... She holds her hand up to block the sun from her eyes and scans the fields again. Not finding what she was looking for, she jumps onto her horse's back, the fear quickly becoming panic. She kicks, sending the horse shooting down the path, which bends around some trees to where the farmhouse should be. She pulls up short, horror now in residence on her face as she stares at the burned and charred mess that used to be her family's home. Tears well in her eyes as she kicks again, racing to the rubble. Oh, I saw it.
Absolutely.
Sounds like you lost your family. That sucks. Okay, so we went through a door. What is on the other side of the door? Oh. Okay, so we appear to be at the top of the inn, so let's, Villager, okay. Nothing of much relevance there. There was... I seem to recall there was something up this way? Or someone... Oh, no, it was someone over here. Well, let's go see if there's anything of any...
They'll never know I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Clink and Zlox. Okay, so... Here we go again. You see a small group of people gathered around the ruins of a house. The destruction continues out from the single dwelling through the entire village. Not a single building still stands, rubble is scattered everywhere. One of the men in the group leans over something in the debris. It is this man, a younger, barely more than a boy. The man reaches out and shakes the boy by the shoulder. The boy makes no sound and doesn't respond to the man's disturbance. The man looks up at the other members of the group and shrugs, standing to rejoin his friends. The boy suddenly sits up, eyes wide. He scrambles backward, away from the group, looking around in horror. The group moves toward him in unison, eliciting a yelp from the boy, who tries to move farther away. A woman in the group puts out her hands, stopping the rest. She turns to them reproachfully, motions for them to stay, then looks at the boy on the ground, who is trying to push himself through what remains of a wall. He seems unaware that he has even stopped. The woman slowly moves toward the boy, hands out, speaking in a low, calming tone. For a time, the boy doesn't even hear. He just closes his eyes and braces himself against the wall, expecting violence. Eventually, the woman's words work through the fear, and he hears her. He opens his tear-filled eyes and stares at her. She holds out a hand to him. He looks at it, seeming confused by the offer, then hesitantly reaches out. She takes his hand in hers and leans down to help him stand. And as I suspected, you see a lone man standing in a field. He looks around, surveying the crops. Occasionally he bends to examine a leaf up close. He is intent on what he is doing, completely absorbed in his work. This man approaches him from behind. He moves slowly, but does nothing to mask his approach. In his hand he holds a large sword. There appears to be no malice or hatred in the man's demeanor. He almost seems pleased. The first man hears his approach and stands, turning away from the plant he was inspecting. His face breaks into a smile, and he opens his arms to welcome the approaching man. The smile freezes into a grimace as the second man thrusts the sword through his stomach, its blade now protruding from his back. His arms slowly fall to the side, and blood starts to drip from the sword onto the plants below the men. As the first man crumples to his knees, the second pulls out the sword, a tear slowly falling down into the cheek of his still smiling face. Sounds like that he was not in control of his actions. Okay. Well, let's just barge into someone's house, because, you know, that's what we do as adventurers, apparently. Stealing. I don't want to steal. Hi, kitty. Okay, so I can't do anything with the kitty cat. Aufra. A dear wooden woman's... That's a woman? It's hard to tell. A dear wooden woman is standing in front of the fireplace, humming a quiet tune to herself, or perhaps to her unborn child, for she is clearly quite pregnant. She turns her head slightly as you enter.
Gods keep you.
Okay. That's not in your script. Well, finally, I was starting to think. The woman makes a startled noise once she turns around and sees you. Oh, I'm sorry. I was expecting someone else. She gives you a cautious smile. Can I help you? Nice cat. Yeah, that's... I'm a huge, massive cat person, so yes, that would actually be something I would say. Like it's in the notebook, or you're expecting. She smiles brightly. Oh, thank you. She's a sweetheart. Keeps the house clear of mice too. Okay. I guess we're avoiding the subject. My sister okay. My sister Kalisha is traveling with one of the caravans. She sent a letter before she came. She said she was going to pay her way by working as a guard for the caravan master. She always was a tough one. I don't suppose you've seen her on the road, or the caravan perhaps? It's Master Odima's. Wow, stoic is kind of more along the lines of like prick. The caravan was attacked and we escaped, but Kalisha was caught in a bivouac. Aufra covers her mouth with her hand, eyes wide with horror. For a few moments she can manage nothing but a strangled, voiceless gasping, her eyes brimming with tears. I told her it was a dangerous path to take. Kalisha was always so certain she could take on any danger. Oh, my poor sister. I'm sorry, stranger. I can't believe she's gone. If only I hadn't called her here. If I hadn't written to her, she might still be alive somewhere. Aufra's face crumples and a solitary tear slides down her cheek. By the way, if you don't like the way that I'm reading this stuff, I am sorry. I'm trying to get the right inflection and tone and everything. Why did you send for which I am curious. Is there anything I can do? Quit. Wow, yeah, that's cruel. Quit your sniveling. How are you going to raise a child if you're this weak? Yeah, that's would be kind of cruel. Kalisha mentioned that she thought you needed help. Perhaps I can provide some assistance. Yeah, I like benevolent. Aufra looks at you with some surprise before dabbing at her nose with a sleeve. That's kind of you to offer, but I don't know if I could impose this on you. It's not a small favor. She wipes her eyes. I'm worried about the baby, about the legacy. I told Kalisha as much as I could, but all I know is that for a long time now, every child born in Gilded Vale has been soulless, empty. It's happened to so many mothers, and Lord Redrick, he's exiled all of them, calling it a sign of the gods' disfavor. With my Haythort gone, I don't know how I'd manage if I lost my home too. I hoped Kalisha could help me. They say Ranga, the old midwife, knows a way to prevent a child being hollowborn, but she moved south to Anslag's Compass 2 seasons ago. The journey's too far for me. I can't make it as I am, but I don't have anyone else now with Kalisha gone. More tears run down her face. Please, can you help me? It's a long ways to go. What's in it for me? No. I'll think about it if I ever head the way. No, I'm not one for charity. Handle this. No. I'll find Ranga for you. Oh. Aufra blinks, eyes wide. You will? Oh, gods bless you. Here, I'll give you a coin to pay her with. You needn't trouble yourself with that. I think it's a drink she fashions out of... well, I'm not sure. But it shouldn't be too much of a burden to carry back. Gilded Vale, slight positive. I guess that's reputation gain. You have earned a reputation. Reputations can be held with communities or factions in the Eastern Reach, and affect how members of that group respond to you. In some cases, friends or enemies of those groups will also react to your affiliations. Helping a group will increase your positive reputation with that group. Harming a group will increase your negative reputation. It is possible to have a mix of positive and negative reputation with a group if you help and harm them in equal measure. Oh, interesting. Anslag's Compass is what we call the lagoon to the south. You'll have to cross the wilds to get there. That's what keeps me from trying it myself. She clasps her hands together. Thank you, truly. You'll be saving us both. She sets a hand on her stomach, smiling through her tears. Oh. Hi, kitty. Okay, so I can't steal from her, which is, I suppose, only natural.
Hello.
I hope Ranga agrees to help. I honestly don't know what else I can do. Any chance you could tell me a few things about Gilded Vale? I can certainly try. What would you like to know? Well, tell me about the village. Let me think. We're farmers, mostly, but there has always been work and opportunity for people coming in from elsewhere. In the old days, at least. The Black Hammer Smithery's been here for a long time. That's Tuatanu's place, south of the mill. And then there's the Black Hound, just a way south of here. I have to admit, I don't go out much anymore. With that horrible tree out there, things aren't like they used to be, but I don't have anywhere else to go. Whose lands are these? The Raedric family has held title over these lands for generations. Their keep is northeast of here, past the Estern Wood. I wouldn't go near mine. He doesn't see visitors or petitioners, not these days. Some people say that, well, that there are some bad seeds in that line. A weaker soul, maybe that's why. Well, never mind. I'm sure Lord Raedric has his reasons. Okay, well, I don't have any more questions, and I'll be going. And out the door we go. Can you accidentally leave some of your people behind, I wonder? Okay. Well, for the moment, we have some of our crew. I tell you what, let's go talk to Eder again.
I have received confirmation that Lord Radric's heir was not born well. My lord has issued an injunction on all new homesteads until he can be assured that the village has been cleansed of all Eothasians and whatever other undesirables that have brought this curse upon his lands.
Well, what a coincidence. I have an Eothasian priest in my party.
It would be best if you left town as soon as possible. I would suggest returning to your old home. There will be no place for you here. You may stay at the inn until you can make the necessary arrangements, but I would not advise remaining long. I expect Lord Radric will be most thorough in his efforts to purify this place.
Yeah, I didn't come here for that, though. So, goodbye. Hi. Pretty social for someone who's hiding something. You gonna tell me what that business by the tree was, or do I gotta guess? If I say never mind, I guess that means you're not coming along. Okay. I guess I feel an overwhelming compulsion to ask him what a watcher is.
Careful, friend. Let's not use that word round here. Could be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be.
Alof looks at you curiously but says nothing.
Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
Don't be so sure. I guess I could attack him.
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
Dude, that's not cool. Yeah, the war? Saints War. Only one in my lifetime. The fella decides he's the living incarnation of Aothus. Overthrows Redceris, marches on Deerwood. So we gave him a Deerwood and hello. What's... yeah, what?
We blew him up.
What? Does a smile of one recounting a joke for effect rather than enjoyment. Okay.
We blew him up.
Oh, I just asking that. That is funny though. God of Rebirth and Redemption. Oh, who is Aothus? God of Rebirth and Redemption. Formerly, anyhow. Maybe they call him something different where you're from. Well, I had another question. Why was your headman hanged? Got involved. Okay, so we can record blew him up, but we can't... okay. Redric sent men down here the other day. Said they had it on good authority someone in town was working with Kolsk, plotting Redric's overthrow. Said if he didn't come forward right then and there, they'd hang every last one of us. No one was coming forward, so Swithwin, that's my headman, he steps up and says it's him. They took him at his word. He sighs and shakes his head, his eyes fixed on the tree. Bound to happen sooner or later, if not for plotting against Redric, then for protecting me. What does your town have against you?
Pick the wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale.
Aethys.
That mess of rocks over there was a temple to him, to give you some idea. Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back.
Aw, sorry, dog.
After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me.
Well,
Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Radric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
yeah, who... You can see why I was eager to leave. Oh, Aloth glances at you and lowers his voice. You can see why I was eager to leave. So, okay, yeah, but who's Kolsk? Someone who got tired of all the hanging. He's on the run now. Probably will be till they catch him. Okay. If you're next to be hanged, what are you still doing here? I mean, that's a fair question. He gives a half smile. Drinking, mostly. I kind of like this guy. Point of fact, I'm on my way out. I just haven't figured out where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out there that don't think Waidwin's legacy started with Waidwin. That's fair. Well, why don't you come along? We could travel together. Now, where are you headed? Someplace called... apparently, I'm not getting to decide where I go. Someplace called Cadnua, and there's an old watcher there who might be able to help me.
I seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before. Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger, and a strange one at that. But, truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
Kitty cat, come on. There you go. Oh! Kitty cat kicking me in the stomach as he leaves. Aloth, there's a fine reason if I ever heard one.
Alright then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
I didn't pick that site. Nimrod? Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and level Eder here, and so I'm gonna pause the video and I'll be back when I'm done with that. Be right back. Alright, well that didn't take nearly as long as I thought it was going to. Alright, so we are going to go... and pick this herb, apparently. Gonna do a quick, brief run through the town, just to see if there's anything extra here that I need to be looking at. I think I know what this is gonna be. Yeah, okay, we're gonna do these two guys real quick. You see a group of people standing around a wagon, transfixed on a sword as it swings in a large, graceful arc. This man holds the sword, passing it from hand to hand with a relaxed ease, making the blade dance in front of his audience. He tosses it into the air, spins, then puts his arm behind his back to catch it. The crowd claps excitedly, and a couple of them gasp, certain they were going to see a tragedy. Okay. You see a room, bright, warm, and covered in greenery. There isn't a spot in the entire space that doesn't have some kind of plant growing in it. Small germinating seeds in a corner here, large sprawling vines climbing the walls there. Although most of the plants are actually in some kind of container, there are a few that have grown from the dirt floor itself. These are just as lovingly cared for as anything else in the room. This man wanders through the plants, smiling at each and every one, and an old pipe clenched between his teeth. Stopping next to one, he touches a leaf, lifting it up to look at the underside. Then he gently rubs it between his fingers. He takes a small handful of the soil it grows in and crushes it with his fingers, between his fingers. Satisfied, he drops the soil back into the pot and continues to the next plant. He hums a low, cheery tune as he moves among the plants, occasionally stopping to sing a few words of something to one of them. Finally, he reaches the door, having visited every plant in the room. He turns back to look at them, a look of serene pleasure on his face. Then he turns back and is gone. Okay. So that's the extent of that. Just going around the edge here, and once I've done that, hey, moo cows. Despite the rains, the stalks feel as dry and stiff as a locust husk. Okay. Well, go up here real quick. Is there anything up here? How can I not see through a fence? Odd. Okay. Thank goodness for AI pathing, because I could not imagine trying to get all of these characters moved around without it. Oh. No, we've got someplace else to visit down here first. What is this? Ah, Black Hammery Smithery. Hammery Smithery, yes. That is a word. If you didn't know, a hammery is an upgraded version of a smithery. That's stealing. Apparently that's a lot of stealing. Hello, commoner. Okay.
I'm here.
No kidding, do you think? Okay, nothing from the guard. That's not stealing, interestingly. Sorry, I have to keep it this, or Tuatanu will have my hide on the rack next. The bellows sighs into the furnace, and the coals burn brighter still. Okay, so why is this not okay. Daily affirmations of focus and efficiency. 1. All errors can be reforged into lessons. Abaddon. I'm gonna say Abaddon. Or would it be Abaddon? Abaddon. Abaddon rebuilt himself from the ruin. No setback is insurmountable, not even death itself, so long as the soul is dedicated to the task. 2. Work hard, work well. Abaddon demands only honest labor and forthright service. All errors can be reforged if your first intentions are pure. 3. All ignorance can be reforged into knowledge. Master your craft, excel at what you have been trusted to do. Do not offend your teacher by remaining a student forever. 3. Each generation must forge its successors. Teach your trade to all who are willing to learn, and in doing so, multiply the fruits of your knowledge. 5. All difficulties can be reforged into triumphs. Meet strife with humility and acceptance. Let adversity temper the ingot of your will, and you will never shatter. 6. Embrace your station. Fulfill the duties of your rank, and meddle not in the affairs of your betters. All guilds fail at their weakest link. 7. All loss can be reforged into strength. Profitable work heals all emptiness. So long as you have the tools of your trade, you will always be able to forge wealth anew. Number 8. Value the works of others, and they will value your works in return. Share the harvest with the hungry, and your tools with the destitute. 9. All souls can be reforged into whatever we will. Hard work is not exclusive to life. Death is no time for complacency. Commit yourself to excellence in this cycle and the next. Sounds very, East Asia.
Certainly.
Japanese specifically. I did take that, didn't I? I did not. I'm going to take that. This person? Oh, look at that. You see a group of adventurers surrounded by a crowd of attacking Zorops. This man is with them, seemingly uncontrolled by the battle, even detached from it, as he stands in the middle of his comrades chanting, his expression bordering on elation. His voice is powerful and deep, booming out across the combatants as a rich counterpoint to the chaos of their fighting. With every phrase, the battlefield changes. His allies glow with a pulsing blue light, freezing the Zorops that surround them. A blazing pyre erupts from the ground, cutting and burning the creatures and sending them scattering. One of the fallen Zorops suddenly explodes as 3 giant grubs crawl from its corpse and attack the remaining enemies. The man continues to chant, thoroughly enthralled in the joy of the moment. Finally, the creatures have been reduced to 1. His allies stand back as the man approaches it, still chanting. He removes his hammer and swings it at the Zorop. His phrase ends as the hammer connects with its head, punctuating the spell and bringing his song to an end. So, he's a chanter. You see a man crouching, surreptitious and alone. A series of untamed shrubs, all that hides him from the vision ahead. His eyes are locked on a Delamgon, beautiful and terrible, eyes half-lidded as she hums. A bird with fantastic blue and orange plumage sits on her shoulder. A what? Delmgon? Huh. Sits on her shoulder, trilling gently, and the man is entranced. Trembling, tentative, he stands, and the tranquility is broken by the bird's startled squawk. The Delmgan half smiles, beckoning with twig-like fingers. She does not speak as he approaches. His mouth is dripping sounds of awe and admiration. She waits, coy and tempting, and with agonizing slowness he is before her. Then something changes. She sees something hanging limply from his side, and begins to hiss, fingers suddenly claws, and eyes black with hate. He has no time to reach for his axe or grimoire as she strikes. And just as soon as she strikes, she is gone. The only evidence of her existence, the shuddering wreck on the ground. He grabs at his grimoire, nevertheless, and begins to chant. But the words of a magical language of his own imagining, scribbled in a maniacal shorthand, ring hollow, and the silence continues unabated. He turns and shrugs at someone or something. But if there is something there, you do not see it. Hey, okay. This Amawa man is of an impressive build, towering above the countertop. His skin is the dusky blue of the deeper oceans, and his thick arms boast corded muscle. Small ears frame square-jawed face coated in smeared soot and arcing black tattoos alike. He offers you a broad smile as you approach. Welcome! You're the first new face I've seen in quite some time. What can I do for you? Okay, so, is it your job? She asks idiotically. That it is. Been here near on 20 years now. Seen all manner of things over the years, good luck and bad. Tuatano glances at the guard standing watch along the wall, but the Black Hammer Smithery remains. Oh, good luck and bad. Okay. What do you have here? You come to us at a strange time, I'm afraid. The stock's not what it used to be, but we find weapons and armor to offer yet. All forged right here in the Black Hammer. Oh, what happened? We just don't have the supplies. Been expecting the next delivery for near on a week now, and haven't seen a sign of it. Have to expect they were hit by raiders. The road out east is crawling with them. Or my workers ran off with the wagon themselves, maybe, to make some coin. As if that lot would dare. Alof, he's right about the bandits. The dire situations in villages like this and the exodus to the cities has created far too many opportunities for unscrupulous sorts. Tuatano scratches his jaw, thinking, if you happen to be headed that way, maybe you could keep an eye out for the supply wagon. Or my shipment, at least. They'd be cutting through the Black Meadow, I expect. Only good road for it. As it is, most of our weapons go to His Grace, Lord Radric. Tuatano glances at the nearby guard. And that's as it should be. And that's as it should be. But it doesn't leave much for outsiders. We just don't have the iron. Where was the wagon I'm traveling from? I'll find your supplies. I'll see them back safe and sound. I'd appreciate you trying anyhow. You bring back the supplies at least, and I'll have much more to offer you. A discount to start. And if you do find my workers, you give them a good smack upside the head for me. Okay, so if I leave... Okay, so if she leaves, they all leave. That's fine. Alright, so we just picked up a quest from the blacksmith to find a missing shipment and or his workers that were supposed to be, I guess, delivering it. So this looks like a good place to stop. I will see you guys in the next episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And stay safe and have fun.